Welcome to Podnutz Daily for January 15th, 2009, episode number 137. Okay, I had two junker computers come in today, actually yesterday. I'll tell you a little story. I have a guy who works down the street in a little electronics shop, and every once in a while he brings me computers, and he always is trying to get me to lower my price on what I'm going to charge him. And I don't know how, but he talked me into having him work on these. He talked me into having me work on two of his systems for almost nothing. Now, these are junkers. Usually the items I get for him are pretty bad, but this one was, let me guess, I think it was a Celeron 233 megahertz with 32 meg of RAM. That's what we're dealing with here. Meg of RAM. So we were going to install Windows ME on it. Now, we were having a problem. We thought the CD drive was bad. Couldn't boot from a CD drive. Well, I finally got a disk that would work, a Windows ME disk, and we were going to try to install onto the hard drive. It was like a 10 gig hard drive or something like that. And every time we started the Windows ME setup, it would not copy things to the hard drive. It said there was it cannot write to drive C. Well, I ran fdisk, and I tried to delete the partitions because the drive did look like it was partitioned. So I tried to delete the partition. There was no primary partition. There was no DOS partition. And I was about to give up, and I tried the last option was to delete a non-DOS partition. And that's what this turned out to be. There was a non-DOS partition on this disk, and with that being there, Windows would not copy over to that. So using fdisk, we were able to delete the non-DOS partition, format the drive as, I think, the primary drive, and then ran Windows ME process, and it loaded just fine. But if you're ever, probably not much call for this now, but it's still a tip nevertheless. If you're trying to install Windows ME and it says it cannot write to drive C, just format drive C, delete all partitions on drive C, format drive C using a logical DOS partition, and you'll be okay. Had a guy come in, built a real nice computer. This guy had an Antec case, an Antec power supply, a nice video card, a gig of RAM. He built it a couple years ago, but he did a real nice job. Somebody who doesn't know hardly anything about computers, read about it in a magazine, but he was getting random blue screens. And he was also having graphics issues. But the main thing was random blue screens. And he made little notes. He told me what times of the day. He had it all in an Excel spreadsheet, what time of day he was getting the blue screens, when they were happening, and this and that. So the first thing I did, I wanted to because he didn't know a lot about computers, I wanted to make sure he was doing the job correctly. I went in there, blew all the dust out of his computer, which wasn't that much, and then just reseated everything in the proper slots. Reseated the graphics card in the PCIe slot. Reseated the RAM. Made sure the processor was on and the heatsink was on tight. Made sure anything in the PCI slots were seated properly, and then powered the system on. And when I powered the system on, the thing beeped like 3 times, pause, then beep 3 times, pause, beep 3 times, pause, no video. So to me, that's usually a RAM problem. Well, I switched out the RAM, no more problems. No blue screens, no nothing. So definitely is RAM loves to do random blue screens. If you're getting random blue screens, I'm talking about random, like one day it's doing all along fine in your blue screens, and the next day it's all along fine doing something else in the blue screens. Check your RAM. RAM is definitely a factor in blue screening. It happened to me with the Sony Vaio I had yesterday that was driving me nuts. Except that had RAM embedded into the motherboard, so that was a pain. I had to get a new motherboard. But this one, just switch out the RAM, that was fine. Now, he also was talking about graphics problems. His graphics problems was, and if you have a computer repair business, you're probably going to hear this on more than one occasion. Somebody come in and going, you know, every time I run Internet Explorer and I try to scroll down a web page, it's real choppy. It goes and jumps and it's real choppy. That usually means that the graphics driver is not loaded. Because if you install Windows XP on a machine and don't load the graphics driver, try it. Go to Internet Explorer or try scrolling down on anything. It'll go in like real choppy steps. It won't be smooth. A lot of times, an easy way to check if the graphics driver is loaded on a video card is grab a window and start dragging it grab a window from the top, start dragging it in a circle around the screen. If it goes and follows the mouse in a smooth motion, the drivers are loaded. If it's real choppy and it's just jumping all over the place on the screen, it's not following the mouse smoothly, then video drivers need to be installed. That's a real quick way. I mean, you should also check the device manager in this type of thing. But just grab, if you're ever in doubt, just grab your window and move it around. You'll know if your device drivers are loaded for the graphics card. But yeah, I've heard that a lot where people go, every time I open Internet Explorer, the graphics are real choppy. It is a graphics driver, so that's that problem. Here's something I'm a little bit curious about now that my dad posed a question today on malware. Now here's the question, because we used to, when we're working on a computer that has like 5 accounts, for example, XP mainly. There's 5 accounts, 3 of them are limited accounts, 2 of them are administrator accounts. Now, the only way to, what are we trying to do? The only way to get in those limited accounts in safe mode is to make them administrator accounts. And we have programs that we run in safe mode, like Smith Fraud Fix. So we have to get into those accounts and run them in safe mode. The question now is, to save time and just out of curiosity, because these are limited accounts, will malware affect those accounts? Do we even have to turn them into administrator accounts, which would in fact be making them vulnerable to attack? So you're kind of working backwards on this. Because we were attacking us with the mindset of, okay, you got limited accounts and administrator accounts. We're going to clean all the accounts no matter what's in them. So we run all of our programs on all the accounts. But if they're limited, maybe they are not infected. So we're going to be checking that out. And all the systems we do now, we're not going to clean out the limited accounts. We're just going to clean out the administrator accounts. Then afterwards, after we clean up the administrator accounts, we're going to check the limited accounts and see if they're still messed up. If the limited accounts are messed up, then we have to go in and clean them. But we're thinking that because they're limited accounts, that protected them from getting messed up in the first place. We'll see. Another customer came in with a Dell Inspiron 5160 computer. Similar, Nebin, you might know this system, the 5100 series. Poor guy had a bad motherboard. I hate breaking the news to them on this case, but you're going to notice a motherboard on these Dells. Let's see. You're going to notice a motherboard on these Dells. When they go bad, a lot of times you're going to get a warning signal, warning lights on the front of the system. Whereas it looks like whenever you plug the power in, the lights flash on real fast and then they go off. Well, if you keep the power cord plugged in, those LEDs flash on and off, not because you're plugging the power cord in, because it's a code. The 2 lights blink on the outside, and then if you wait another 6 or 7 seconds, the lights blink again. So, though it might look like every time you plug your power cord in, the lights are blinking, and it looks like a power problem, it's actually a motherboard problem, because you plug the power cord in, if you leave it in, you're going to see the lights blink and cycle every 8 seconds, or every 7 or 8 seconds. So it's not that it's a power jack, it's not a power problem. In most cases, it's a motherboard problem. So I think it's time for a new computer if that happens in that case, on that system. Another cool device I got for the shop